Hey, what's up, guys? It's kind of impromptu, so I got to set this up real quick. All right. Hey, so get the chat going. Not a lot of people, but that's fine. So, obviously, I'm here because I don't really have a lot of time to write a big essay on this whole thing. So, and I'm taking a lot of heat, so I need to kind of clarify myself and explain what exactly is going on. So if you're here, you probably saw the Substack post, right? And you saw the kind of like miniature drama that is a replay of the thing where I said that fantasy is dead. And I mean it. I mean it. I think that the whole genre is dead as a meaningful literary movement. It has no value. It's mostly just pastiche. But I need to qualify this, and I need to qualify and quantify what's going on and really what I mean. And for a lot of you guys that are going to listen to this and are going to see the post, this is a conversation we've had over on Substack for over 2 years ago. It's something that it's kind of played out, and I shared some older essays. And this is something that I've gone over with Lisa Kuznak. We've had different guests on here that all talked about fantasy and really fantasy science fiction, a lot of genre fiction, and what I mean by it being dead. And I don't mean that it's bad. So we need to like kind of start at the beginning, and I need to explain what I mean by that. The key is to understand is what is the point of writing? Like why I write, why I read, why we write or what we do, anything, right? And the first kind of thing that people are going to say is it's entertainment. I do it to enjoy myself, right? Well, that's okay. That's fine. We can say that we do it for enjoyment, for just pure entertainment. But when we're talking about literature, when we're talking about art, it goes beyond just entertainment, right? Art is not just meant to entertain or just have aesthetic qualities, right? There's more to it. There's the level of art which attains like of a spiritual level, right? You can't just say that, Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel to entertain or to, or just for decoration, for aesthetic purpose. There was a lot more to it, right? And all great literature, including fantasy literature, including science fiction and westerns or all of it, the best goes beyond just pure entertainment, right? It's genre defining. It has a point, right? It has a message, and people are going to go, "Oh no, message fiction," right? Well, we're not talking about a message like a political message, but it's trying to say something. It says something, right? A book, a great novel says something. You can look at the Brothers Karamazov, right? Dostoevsky is saying something about human nature, right? About God, about religion, about spirituality, in Crime and Punishment, right? Dostoevsky is talking about the nature of evil, lying to yourself, how good men or men can take good intentions and it leads to evil situations through pride and everything. Uh, Dickens and Tale of Two Cities, he's saying some deep intellectual, philosophical, and spiritual truths about the human condition, about rebellion, revolution, about faith, loyalty, and that kind of stuff, right? So they're not just entertainments. So to go to fantasy, right? The Lord of the Rings, for example, in Tolkien's novel, Lord of the Rings, is not a great novel because it's a fun, exciting novel, or it's a fun, adventurous novel, right? It's a great novel that stands the test of time and will, in my opinion, you know, will be one of the greats, of literature for many, 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 centuries, hopefully, all right? It has nothing to do with the content of the adventure or the plot per se. It has everything to do with the truth that is the part of the greater like work itself, right? The Christian truths of sacrifice, the Christian truths of, resisting great evil and small insignificant people being able to defeat the temptation of great evil, and fellowship and friendship and the good, and there's so much, right? You can talk about it forever. So what I mean by the fantasy genre is dead, and I'm being hyperbolic, all right, to a certain degree, because it's not like dead, right? It's not like, oh no, it doesn't exist anymore. Nobody reads it or anything like that. If you think I said that, then you're dumb. Okay, just go back and reread what I said, because that's not what I said. I didn't say it's dead as in it doesn't exist. Like I can walk into Barnes and Noble, and the most popular books for sale right now are romantasy, right? So fantasy is not dead because people are reading romantasy novels, right? I'm talking about that the genre itself as a medium to express deep truths is stale. It's no longer revolutionary in the same way Tolkien was, or or Conan the Barbarian stuff, right? And Gene Wolfe, Dune, for example, all the great novels of the past that fit under fantasy and science fiction, right? Now, okay, so where did this little drama start? It started with Brian Niemeyer's post about Brandon Sanderson, and how Brandon Sanderson is great for doing his Patreon thing, and Amazon's or Apple TV or something is picking up his book, and we're gonna listen to, they're gonna make one of his books, right? Look at Brandon Sand, and I kind of jokingly, like, kind of dogged on that, because Brandon Sanderson, he writes fantasy, but it's tripe. Okay, let's be honest here. All right, it's pastiche. It's about it's massive thick tomes of just pure airport entertainment. Right, it's bottom tier fantasy. Look, is that bad? No, I'm not saying it's bad, guys. Right, that's not what the point is. What I'm saying is that it's not good. It's not transcendent. It's not great fantasy. It's just pure entertainment, right? Like, and I'm not one of these guys that's like a snob. I like stuff like Stranger Things. I think it's good. It's stupid, but it's good, right? It's not deep. It's not like, I'm not going to remember it for the rest of my life. It's forgettable entertainment. But the thing is, Brandon Sanderson is not like some luminary indie guy that's like bucking the trend. This is a guy that has a massive machine of, I mean, come on, he wrote the ending of Wheel of Time. He's not bucking the system, dude. He's not a plucky indie guy. He's a guy that's had not only this huge, massive Utah Mormon, like, sci-fi literary complex behind him. He also has a history of writing the ending of one of the most popular sold fantasy novels around, right? And but the point is not that whether he's good or not. He is that it's just not interesting. Okay, like, it's fun. I'm sure it's fun. I found it completely boring and unreadable, but I'm sure you can find it fun, and I'm sure you can enjoy it. But it doesn't say anything about the world. It doesn't say anything about the future. It doesn't say anything about us. So once again, I go back to Tolkien, and I'm not one of these guys like, oh, I'm a modernist and I reject modern stuff. That's not what I'm saying, dudes. Right? What I'm saying is that Tolkien wrote a novel. He wrote Lord of the Rings about England. It was about the spirit of England, right? It was about the spirit of the Englishmen. The Shire is England. The hobbits, Frodo and Samwise, they're uh, mythotypical Englishmen and what he considers the ideal. He dug into, um, you know, mythological literature of Europe and brought it into a modern English kind of countryside, and used his modern English sensibilities to re-mythify what he considered like England, right? And that's what it's about, right? It's not, and he even says this in a lot of his letters, as he's trying to write a mythology for England, right? Is Brandon Sanderson writing a mythology for America, for Utah, or wherever he's from? Right? I doubt it. Right? He's writing entertainment. Okay, so My big critique with a lot of contemporary fantasy is that you're just writing pastiche, guys. You're just taking the elements from these older novels and older, knights and stuff, and just writing good stories. But they don't say anything about America. They don't say anything about you. They're not saying anything about anybody. Okay. First of all, why are Americans writing medieval European style fantasy? You're not European, or you're not Tolkien, right? Now, do you think that Robert Howard was writing Conan and he meant to be, Conan was clearly meant to be a Texan, right? He was writing Texas fantasy. He just said it in a Hyperborean age, like in a Bronze Age. But Conan the Barbarian's a Texan. Anybody that knows Robert Howard understands that Conan the Barbarian was a Texan, right? So he was writing about the Texas pioneer spirit in his fantasy, right? He was saying something about his present wild kind of Texas and his kind of masculine spirit, but he was using fantasy as the vehicle. And so the question is, when you're writing fantasy, when you're giving somebody fantasy or science fiction or whatever, what are you writing about? Are you actually saying something? Are you telling us something, or are you just writing entertainment? And if you're writing entertainment, that's fine. So what I'm trying to say is that the fantasy genre is a dead genre because nothing fresh and exciting, nothing that really touches the human spirit has come out of that genre in over 30 years. All right. And right away, everybody got crazy on me and said, "Oh, no, but this book is great." And they start listening to a bunch of books, all books I've read, by the way. I've read almost every fantasy novel that's come out. Every the big one I've read. The Joe Abercrombie stuff, N.K. Jemisin stuff. I read all that stuff. Okay, it's some of it is really good. I'm not saying that Abercrombie's bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. You know, but it's not Tolkien. It's not Robert Howard. It's not Dune. It's not genre defying. Okay. Nobody's going to go, "Oh man, you got to read this amazing fantasy novel, The Sword Itself by Joel Abercrombie." No, it's fun, but it's meh. Okay. It's meh. That's what I said. I said there's nothing fresh and new in the genre. And I mean, I'm open to being proven wrong. Go ahead and send me something. I'll read it. Don't send me Muzzle on Book of the Fallen because I found that exceptionally boring. But it's got to be new. Like if you're gonna do something like Tolkien, do something better than Tolkien or something fresher than Tolkien. And I'll even say it here, right? I'll even say because I'm not a huge fan of this, but I think Stephen King's The Dark Tower, for example, did a great job of combining the mythological fantasy world with the American spirit of the Wild West, right? It turned, and the horror of the 1960s America and the 80s America that he was writing it in. He actually did a really good job there. It kind of went downhill and he fumbled the ending, but Stephen King is a lot more pertinent to the American spirit of our times than, for example, the pastiche of your contemporary fantasy. And that's what I'm trying to say, guys. Okay. I'm not trying to say there's no good books. I'm just saying there's nothing genre defining. Okay. And same goes for westerns, right? I got Frank Kidd on there getting mad at me because I said that I made like a side comment that westerns are dead. The American Western is not pertinent to American culture today. All right. It doesn't. The last Western that mattered was No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy. All right. And No Country for Old Men was the death of the Western. That was the whole point of No Country for Old Men. All right. As in, the sheriff was the old man and it's no longer his country. It ends. He cannot handle it. The ideals of the Western do not hold on to the modern, wars with the cartels and that kind of stuff. That's what he's trying to say in that novel. And that's the best Western that's been out in the last 40, 50 years. And undeniable, fight me on it. Okay. So, how are you, if you're going to write a Western, if you're going to write a fantasy, what are you saying? What are you saying? You know what I mean? What are you saying? right? Are you just going to do pastiche? And that's the problem, right? Every time I open a book, it's just a pastiche. There's like wizards and elves or elf-like creatures or wizard-like creatures, and it's just nonsense. It doesn't say anything. It's fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy playing video games. I'm playing Avowed right now. It's got a crappy story, right? It's fun to play. I'm having a blast. Is it genre defining? No. All right. I can play all the Final Fantasies. I can play the new ones too. Is it genre defining? No. All right. And this is what I'm trying to say, guys. If you're going to write, you better go above and beyond, right? You better try to write something great. Now, the only reason I'm doing this is because old boy James the Hun came at me. And listen, okay, looking through James's stuff, he's got some pretty cool stuff. I think that not counting this topic, right? Like we'd probably be best friends based on our opinions and stuff, right? And he kind of got upset that I think he misunderstood me. I think he thinks I'm just dogging on just generic fantasy in general and like all fantasy, right? And I'm not, right? I like it. I think Guy Gavriel K, for example, writes amazing fantasy. I recommend everybody read Lions of Al-Rasan, for example. But it's not genre defining, man. It's kind of dead. All right. And he's trying to say that because people read it and because they enjoy it, it's not dead. But I disagree there. Okay. All right. Um, sorry, I got a message. I disagree there because what I'm saying is like people still watch Star Wars crap. People still watch Boba Fett shows or whatever, right? Nobody cares. It's a dead genre. Star Wars is dead. And no matter how many like Disney resurrections of Star Wars, it's still dead. All right. So James got mad at me. I'm sorry, bro, but that's what I'm trying to say. And he's saying he's right. He writes he's writing a novel that's coming out. I'm gonna read it, and I'm gonna be honest about it, right? If it matches like if it's genre defining, hell yeah. Okay. If it does something new, hell yeah. But I doubt it. Okay, because I think there's nothing there. All right. Anyway, so I just wanted to clarify this with everybody. I wanted to make sure we understand what I'm talking about. All right. I'm not saying that fantasy is dead. You can go buy all the fantasy you want. Okay. There's some, I even wrote a bunch of fantasy. You can find some online. I still enjoy reading fantasy. I will still buy new fantasy books. I will still read all your fantasy books. What I'm saying is that it's dead as in it's stale. All right. There's nothing new. It's like metal music, okay, or punk music. If I were to make a punk song right now, man, it's been around since like the 70s, dude. There's nothing fresh about it. There's nothing punk about it anymore, right? Like if somebody starts a grunge band today, does it mean it's bad? No, I love grunge. But that's been dead for a long time. Same thing with like emo and all the other genres, okay? So that's what I'm trying to say, guys. It's not dead, as in, oh my god, nobody reads it anymore. It says nothing new. We need new fresh stuff. We need new genres. We need new ideas. We need to address the problems of today. All right. And we're not going to do that by reading and writing European fantasy pastiche. All right. Anyways, thanks guys for tuning in for my quick PSA. And I hope I clarified the ideas that I was trying to put out on Substack. Yeah, good night, guys.